Alright, enough of that one. I hope that we have audio, and how's everybody doing? Now, we have an interesting situation that I was just made aware of. Within the past half hour, I was sent a piece of paperwork, and let me do this. And I don't know if this is going to come up right or not. If it doesn't, I'll just put it over. Okay, and this is the breaking news. Let me get this banner out of the way. The United States District Court in Minnesota has handed down a default in the case of Randi Erickson versus Craig Sawyer, Robert Hammer, and Kim Picasio. And it reads as follows. In appearing that the counter-defendant, Randi Erickson, is in default for failure to plea or otherwise defend in this action as required by law, now, therefore, on application of counterclaimant Craig Sawyer is hereby entered against Lynn Erickson. So Lynn Erickson has lost once again in court. Now, oh, hello, Amber. Yeah, I'll put you here. Amber came to visit again. So, as we all expected, Randi Erickson has lost. And this might explain the unbelievable smear campaign that has been happening to me over the past 48 hours. We have this, where they completely misinterpreted Operation Joint Resolve. He made a big deal out of that over on his BitChute, or somebody did. And then they did it again. Now, this is the old prank call that was done by a pedophile back in around 2010. And the individual that made that call to me was arrested for possession and distribution of links to child pornography and a charge related to this particular call. Of course, Timmy didn't report that. And then, again, we have him calling me an FBI informant, which, we'll go with that. And, again, falsely claiming, once again, that he is a war correspondent, Timothy Charles Holmseth, says that I'm a self-described federal agent, gives my full name and address, reported to the United States Secret Service and or the United States Marshals, which I did both, to protect President Donald J. Trump. All I said was that Timmy is a remote possibility of Timmy coming down to Mar-a-Lago. And maybe by them knowing that, if Tim Holmseth is telling the truth, they may take him in to meet the president, or former president. But he seems to be more concerned that I called the Secret Service and the United States Marshal Service than he is about the fact that he's supposed to be a close associate of the former president. Now, yeah, I'm drinking my milk, so you'll have to excuse me. It helps with the dry throat. So we've got well, their relationship should be strained because now this so-called genius of the United States court system has lost and lost big. And I'm going to get into a detailed explanation of that. So I'm just going down through. I want to say hi to everybody. Welcome. And this is a legal case update. What I'm going to be putting on here is public information. So there should be no griping by the parties involved in this particular action about what I put up. And for whatever reason, my link went down. So I'll get it back here. Okay, I'm going to read a long summary here, and basically this means that Randi has officially lost the case. The only thing left to do is to calculate damages and enter the monetary judgment against her. This particular case is closed. Now, you'll have to bear with me. This is a long explanation that I'm going to be reading as to exactly what happened and everything from here. A clerk's default is not a default judgment. The legal effect of a default is that the defaulting party has admitted to all allegations in the pleading. After a default is entered by the clerk, Craig Sawyer in this case may seek a default judgment against the defaulted party. There must be a hearing on the entry of the default judgment to determine the amount of monetary damages to award the plaintiff. So the next step will be for Craig's attorney to file a motion for judgment, volt judgment itemizing damages he seeks from Randi. At a hearing, the court will determine the final amount of damages to award, considering all the allegations and pleadings that have been admitted to by Randi. The judge will then enter a monetary default judgment against Randi that can be collected by Craig. It is very difficult to overcome the entry of a default. The party would have to show that they used diligent efforts to seek to vacate the default after its entry. Secondly, that there is or was excusable neglect for their failure to respond to the challenge pleadings. And third, that there would have been a meritorious defense. That means she would have to prove that she would win the case against Craig with evidence presented to the court. Otherwise, the court will deny any efforts to vacate the entry of that default. So basically, Randi Lynn Erickson has lost and lost big. This is the beginning of the end for Randi. This wipes clean any challenge she had against Craig Sawyer. Now, what is going to happen next is, of course, there are going to be hearings to determine how much the damages are going to be. And judging from what Craig Sawyer has been asking in the past, I would suspect this is going to be a fairly large amount of money. And this will be coming quite soon. So this is likely the reason why Tim Holmseth has been attacking me intensely on BitChute, because he is trying to throw me off track. He knew this information was coming out, and he wanted to, have me diverted over here to this shiny object, to him trashing me once again on BitChute. And he failed. So all the people over at BitChute are going to be finding this out, and they're going to be going, hey, Randi Erickson was supposed to be this brilliant legal mind, yet here she is losing case after case after case after case in court. She's done crap. And all they can do is make silly little videos using material against me from years ago that has been disproven by law enforcement. The creators of the content have gone to jail because of this content. And so, their little attempt failed. And I also learned that, as I announced in the brief video prior to my broadcast, that Operation Joint Resolve has entered a different phase. So there is going to be that. It's basically it's called Operation Fortitude, and I believe it's a answering the call or something like that is what I've been told. So that is out there, and so as time goes on, I guess we're going to see where Operation Joint Resolve goes in this new phase. Now, it probably has something to do with this judgment, because now this opens up a new path to justice. We're going to have 2 additional lawsuits that are in the pan now, because this particular judgment tonight, I believe, affects only Craig Sawyer. The other cases that were brought by Bob Hammer and Kip Ocasio are still going forward. And if they follow the pattern of Craig Sawyer's case, then Randi Erickson's going to be in default 2 more times. Randi Erickson is going to have judgments against her 2 more times. And she is going to be in a heap of trouble. Now, Randi Erickson still has a warrant for her arrest outstanding, because just because the court said screw it, you didn't show up, so you lost, you still have these offenses of contempt on the books, and you have to answer these charges. So until Randi appears in court to answer the charges against her, the warrants are in effect, and there is no statute of limitations on these charges. And Tim Holmseth also has at least 1 warrant for his arrest. I understand he may have more than 1 warrant as well. Plus, Tim Holmseth being a part of all of this with all these postings he's made on BitChute, Telegram, Rumble, and elsewhere, is also going to be sued. And he is going to wind up in the same situation he was the first time around. And anyone who is operating on the behalf of Timothy Charles Holmseth, who may be part of the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force in any way, shape, or form, also faces civil liability. And civil liability is something you cannot run away from, which Randi Erickson just found out about tonight. She can piss and moan all she wants about the court that she actually tried to use against these parties, but bottom line is she lost, and nothing she can do on BitChute, Rumble, or Telegram is going to change that. That's probably why we're not hearing from her. We're hearing from people with weird usernames. And, they were given ample warning years ago to knock this crap off. Now, they can sit there and they can bash Joe Biden all they want. They can bash Hillary Clinton. They can bash the deep state and all these other people. But when it comes down to everyday, ordinary people, you can't lie about them. You may want to disagree and say, I disagree with what he, she, or it is doing. But you can't accuse them of things that they are not guilty of. You can't go around telling accusing people of being pedophiles and engaging in satanic rituals and so on and so forth if it is not true. You just can't do it. And Randi found that out the hard way. And other people are going to find it out, because it's not only Randi that's going to be sued. It's not only going to be Timmy that's going to be sued. There are other people that helped them, because as part of any judgment, the ownership of Timothy Charles Holmes-Seth is going to be demanded as an asset. BitChute account, the High Command, is going to be seized as an asset. And when they seize the High Command, everyone's details that is any part of the High Command will be available to the plaintiffs in this case, and they will be able to use the information contained in the High Command to go after those that aided and abetted these actions. The same holds true for the Pentagon Pedophile Task Force over on Telegram. They are going to be subject to civil liability for their participation in these acts. So anyone who is acting as an administrator of any of the links that Tim Holmes-Seth has up on BitChute are subject to civil liability because they engaged in the same activity.